Good morning on this snowy, frigid Pittsburgh day. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh. It is January 14th. I am Stephanie Pulowski, commissioned lay minister with this church. I am in my 40s, brownish graying, curly hair. I wear glasses, and I'm wearing a black cardigan over a black and gray striped shirt. Reverend Kate is who you were expecting this morning, but she is off unexpectedly due to a family emergency. Please bear with us as we shift gears a little today. Not everything in the order of service will be exactly as printed. If you shared a joy or concern with Reverend Kate, those did not get to me, so my apologies. And when we get to the new member recognition, that one I'm totally going with the seat of my pants, so we'll just see how it goes. We are so glad that you have chosen to be with us this morning. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome. We are working for justice wherever the heavy weight of oppression has dug into the fabric of life. I have with me today volunteers and staff, all working to bring this worship to you. On behalf of this team, thank you for being with us. If this is your first time with us, first of all, congratulations for coming your first time in the snow and cold. We would love to be in touch with you. If you have not already done so, please go to our welcome desk in the atrium, or if you're on YouTube, visit our website, just Google First Unitarian of Pittsburgh and sign up for our weekly newsletter. You are also invited to join us for social time on Zoom following this live worship. To get a Zoom link, please send an email to firstunitarianpittsburgh@gmail.com. If you're here in person, we'll have a brief social time downstairs following the service. I invite you now to take a deep breath. Arrive in body and spirit, and picture yourself connected to all others who are watching today and in the future. We turn now to our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. If you have a chalice at home, we invite you to light it at this time. We light the chalice with the words of Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark in us a spirit of humility. May it ignite in us radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly towards our highest ideals. May this flame burn bright in your heart and mind as we worship together. Now please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Thank you. Good morning. Please join me in our collective reading of our First Unitarian Principles, our Unitarian Principles, at First Unitarian. We covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions.
If you would like to come up and listen to the story, you're more than welcome to. That goes for children or adults that are children. Anyone that would like to come, you're more than welcome. So as you're walking up, the story today is about the Buddha. The Buddha wasn't always known as the Buddha. When the Buddha was born, he was known as Siddhartha. And at Siddhartha's birth, there was a prophecy given. Does anyone know what a prophecy is? What do you think, Riley? What's a prophecy? Do you know? Okay, you don't have to share. That's fine. A prophecy is like when you say what might happen in the future. So the prophecy at Siddhartha's birth was that he would either become a powerful king or a spiritual leader. Well, his father thought about that prophecy and thought, I want my son to be a king. Because who wouldn't want their son to be a king? You wouldn't want to be a king? You're wearing a crown. You'd make a great princess or a queen. You're not a princess? Okay. Anyway, so to help him along choosing that he would end up being a king, he protected him and wouldn't ever let him leave the palace. So Siddhartha stayed in the palace all the time. He was not allowed to see anything that was sad. He wasn't allowed to see anything that would make him upset until he turned 29. And when he was 29 years old, Siddhartha left the palace for the first time. And when he left the palace, he went with his driver, and the first thing they saw was an old man who was very thin and walking with a cane. And Siddhartha said to his driver, "What is going on with that man? Why does he have a cane?" And the driver said, "Well, that man is old, and as we get older, our bodies get weaker and humans age." Well, Siddhartha had never seen anything like that before. The next trip, Siddhartha and his driver saw a man lying on the side of the road. And he was crying, and it looked like he was in a lot of pain. And again, Siddhartha asked the driver what was going on. What was the matter with that man? And the driver explained that he was very sick. So on the third time, Siddhartha the prince encountered a group of people in a funeral procession. They carried someone who was draped in a white cloth. And again, Siddhartha had no idea what that was. He didn't know that people died. So he asked his driver, and his driver explained that the person under the white cloth had died and that everyone eventually dies. And he told Siddhartha that he would die one day too. Well, Siddhartha was deeply disturbed about this knowledge. He became determined to overcome aging, sickness, and death. So one day he went out and he met an ascetic who's someone who gives up his material things. So he gave up his house, everything he owns, his clothes, his money. And as Siddhartha asked him how he could be so peaceful when there was so much suffering in the world. And the ascetic replied, "To be free of suffering, One must give up the desires, pleasures, and comforts of the world. I find peace by helping others find peace. So what do you think Siddhartha became when he grew up? Do you think he became the king or the spiritual leader? Yep, spiritual leader. So he gave up being king and became a spiritual leader of Buddhism. All right, we're going to sing you guys out to your classes, or if you're staying here, with peace, shalom, shalom. Salam. Now is the part of the service where we are recognizing our new members. If you anticipated being recognized today as a new member, I would ask you to please come on up and join me. If you are on the membership committee and we're planning on helping facilitate this, also please come up. And you should have gotten an insert when you walked in with the words. Bring that up if you have it. Since I don't have anyone's names or any information, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself. Feel free to say your name and anything else you want to say.
Hi, I'm Dennis Thread.
Kara Goodfellow.
Karen Woodall.
Neil Binstock.
Hi, I'm Janet Pohl.
Louisa Jonason.
Paul Kropfel, and my wife Helena Elko is just brought the kids back to the school.
They're welcome to come up too if they want to. All right, you could pull out your insert. Welcome to you all. I'm sure there's some that did not make it today and will be recognized in the future. Is there anyone?
These are folks who have joined all throughout 2023.
Okay.
So, there's a whole new year coming up.
So for everyone that's joined in the past year, welcome to First Unitarian Church. We're so glad to have you here. Have you, the members and friends of this congregation, prepared a place in this community and in your hearts to receive these people into fellowship?
Place for them.
Then let us all rise and welcome them by saying the following words together.
These members and friends of the First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh welcome you into our religious community as new members. In the sharing of our lives together, we join our talents with yours, believing that together we can renew our spirits, grow as people, and find strength in helping others. We are glad you are among us.
And new members, please respond.
We join this religious community and support your efforts to search for, create, and celebrate meaning in life. We are glad to be among you.
I now charge you as new members of the First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh to share with us your creative thoughts, your vital experiences of life, your questions, your doubts, your discoveries, and the principles which matter most to you. I charge you to shake us up with your honest thinking, to stir us with your conscience, and to stimulate our hopes and dreams.
Every month, we share our generosity with a designated organization. This month, it is UU Justice PA. All donations are shared 50-50 with this organization unless otherwise designated. Our religious community is made up of volunteers and staff creating and hosting a variety of programming. We rely on your financial support. In addition to the collection plate, you can donate by texting GIVE to 412-435-1050 and following the directions on your screen. Please check the end of the order of service for more directions.
We hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows. Reverend Kate's mother-in-law, Rita Gorman, passed away early this morning following 95 years of graceful living. Reverend Kate and her husband, Mark, were by her side when she passed. Please hold Reverend Kate, her husband Mark, and all of Rita's family in your hearts and minds. We remember those who are experiencing losses of various kinds and those facing health challenges. We are aware that many are faced with heightened difficulties presented by these times that continue to be challenging for all. May those who suffer or mourn find peace. May those who hunger or thirst be quenched with nourishment and sated with the elixir of life. May those who have experienced violence find care and comfort and the healing that comes with time. May all of us find the loving kindness that is ours to share. May we open our hearts and minds to encircle with love and care all in our community and beyond. So may it be. Amen. Namaste. Blessed be. You are invited into a few moments of silence, personal meditation, and prayer. Spirit of life, in the words of Jude Geiger, God of many names, source of hope, we come together at the end of another week. Some worn down by struggles of health, of home, or work. May we be a community that makes space for the sharing of joys and sorrows, angers and hopes with grace and forbearance. Teach us to remember our history. Though we cannot make amends for what has come before, may we learn from those ways, never to repeat them in our lives today. May we develop new ways of relating to neighbor and stranger without violence or coercion, deceit, or greed. Mother of grace, help us to find a sense of humility where we have privilege and strength when we face oppression. In our struggles, may we learn compassion, and in our power, may we learn temperance. As a community of faith, may we be a safe harbor in a world that is often harsh towards difference. Challenge us to use our presence as a healing force for justice and equity, knowing that although we have come far in the civil rights struggle of our times, there are many people still left behind. And the work of building the beloved community is just as pressing as ever before. Amen. Please join me in singing a response, hymn 18, What Wondrous Love.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul?
Being a Person of Color in America Today by Reverend Teresa I. Soto, who is now named Julianne Jamaica Soto, a BIPOC UU minister. Being a person of color in America today is like the person who stepped aside for passing hikers at the Grand Canyon and tripped and fell 400 feet instead. Except that if you are a person of color, people search for your criminal record as you fall. They tut that, after all, you could have been more compliant. They include the subtext, free of charge, that your falling is a clear indication that you deserved it. Whatever it is, whatever flavor of dehumanizing is being served. When you are falling, they assert that you just don't get it because your parents were immigrants, which is only a dirty word in the mouth of a colonizer feigning innocence. When you are a person of color, you are never on the winning side. As you fall, they tell you that all hikers matter and are worthy of first aid. Never mind that you will reach the bottom, dead.
The sermon this morning is not what is listed in the order of service, collective liberation and radical healing. Reverend Kate keeps her sermons mainly in her head. So instead, she found a similar sermon for me to read and share with you this morning. It is called Somatic Abolitionism, and it is by the Reverend Dr. J. Carl Gregg with the Universalist Unitarian Congregation of Frederick. So when I use the word I am not me, I am Reverend Dr. J. Carl Gregg. Somatic Abolitionism was the original title of the latest book by the author, activist, and psychotherapist, Resmaa Menakem. But his publisher thought that the title was a little too erudite, and that was likely a good call. Instead, they settled on The Quaking of America, an embodied guide to navigating our nation's upheaval and racial reckoning. But I also appreciate the distilled wisdom encapsulated by that two-word title. So let's just take a moment to unpack it. Somatic comes from the Greek word soma, meaning body, and abolitionism is a form of the word abolish, as in to get rid of. Historically, the word abolitionism is most strongly associated with the movement to end slavery. So if we tie the two together, somatic abolitionism is about dismantling racism and white supremacy culture through a focus on our human bodies. That's the gist, but there's a lot more to it. Here is Menakem's list of all that he has in mind when he uses the term somatic abolitionism. A living, embodied practice and culture of anti-racism. A return to the age-old wisdom of human bodies respecting, honoring, and resonating with other human bodies. The resourcing of energies that are always present in your body, in the collective body, and in creation. An emergent process, a way of being in creation, a form of growing up, an embodied response to the problems of white body supremacy. If this somatic approach to liberation sounds intriguing to you, both of Menakem's books are powerful and useful. I would recommend starting with Menakem's first book, My Grandmother's Hands, Radicalized Trauma and the Pathway to Mending Our Hearts and Bodies. I also recommend his latest book, but be forewarned that it is a direct, no-holds-barred take on the serious threats of our current political movement. It is also a powerful resource filled with practical tools to help you both process internally and act externally to create personal and social change. So check that second book out as well if you're interested. I should also share with you a little about Menakem's background experiences to give you a sense of his real-world experience that he is drawing on to write his books. He has a master's degree in social work, and for many years, he has been a therapist in private practice. One of his areas of specialization is in the somatic experiencing approach to trauma developed by Peter Levine. He's also trained with Bessel van der Kolk, author of the best-selling book, The Body Keeps the Score. Menachem has served as the Behavioral Health Director for African American Family Services in Minneapolis and as a consultant for the Minneapolis Police Department. He also managed the counseling services for civilians on 53 U.S. military bases in Afghanistan. Most importantly, it is Menachem's embodied trauma-sensitive approach that makes his work on racism stand out. There are a growing number of incredible books on anti-racism, multiculturalism, and anti-oppression, but to me, Menachem's first book, My Grandmother's Hands, remains one of the best because of his attention to both trauma and somatic experiencing. I think he's right that our work for social justice, and especially racial justice, is much more likely to succeed if it is both trauma-informed and attuned to the importance of regulating our bodies and nervous systems. Part of what makes an experience unpleasant, harmful, or stressful, but traumatic, is so overwhelming. It's too much to process, too much to metabolize, so it stays in our system. Menachem says that in this way, to your thinking brain, there is a past, present, and future. But to a traumatized body, there is only now. And that now is the home of intense survival energy. A related way that we've talked about this is that when we feel rested and relaxed, we are in what neuroscientists sometimes call our green zone. In this calm state, it's easier to access our prefrontal cortex, the most evolved, advanced part of our brain that allows us to engage in the world with more sensibility and rationality. In contrast, as our stress level increases, and especially if we feel under existential threat, we shift into our red zone. Suddenly, we're back into the much less evolved limbic system of our brain, sometimes known as the reptile brain. This is the fight or flight part of our brain. And this is where being trauma-informed can be all important. If an experience reminds us of a trauma that happened in our past, it can trigger a red zone reaction in the present moment that can be difficult to shift out of. Remember that earlier quote from Menachem, to your thinking brain, there is a past, present, and future, but to a traumatized body, there is only now. That now is the home of intense survival energy. It is also vital to emphasize that trauma is not your fault, but in Menachem's words, trauma is never a personal failing, and it is never something that someone can choose. It is always something that happens to someone. In the moment, it can be a vital tool for survival, but long-term, we sometimes need help to move from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, to post-traumatic growth. The good news is that there are proven methods for shifting ourselves from a state of fight, flight, or freeze towards compassionate practices, sometimes called tend and befriend. If you are curious to explore his approaches, there are a growing number of therapists trained in somatic experiencing around the world. But for now, let's ground this discussion in an introductory embodiment practice. So I invite you to notice the outline of your skin and the slight pressure of the air around it. Experience the firmer pressure of the pew beneath you, or on the ground or floor beneath your feet. Can you sense hope in your body? Where? How does your body experience that hope? Is it a release or an expansion? A tightening born of eagerness or anticipation? What specific hopes accompany these sensations? The chance to heal, the chance to be freer around the burden of racialized trauma, to live a bigger, deeper life. Do you experience any fear in your body? If so, where? How does it manifest? As a tightness, as a painful radiance, as a dead hard spot? What worries accompany that fear? Are you afraid your life will be different in ways you can't predict? Do you feel the raw, wordless fear and perhaps excitement that heralds change? What pictures appear in your mind as you experience that fear? If your body feels both hopeful and afraid, congratulations. You're just where you need to be for whatever comes next. Earlier, I mentioned Bessel van der Kolk's influential book, The Body Keeps Score. Let me give you just one quote from that book. Once you start approaching your body with curiosity rather than with fear, everything shifts. That's really interesting and worth thinking about. In particular, when confronting a racially charged situation, it can be easy for everyone concerned to react in a fight or flight mode. And some of you, I preached a few years ago about how the practices of curiosity and commitment can inform and strengthen our work for radical racial justice. If you notice yourself getting defensive, experiment with getting curious about that. Why am I getting defensive? Even more importantly, what can I learn from this situation that I may be missing? Menachem would also urge us to notice what somatic wisdom your body might be offering you. Likewise, instead of running away from difficult conversations, how can I resource myself enough to be able to commit to staying at the table and working towards a way forward together? Learning more about embodied practices can be a transformative tool in making difficult conversations more workable. I should, however, add another important qualifier. Neither I nor Menachem is saying to stay curious and committed if you are in a life-threatening situation. Sometimes a reptilian brain of fight or flight is precisely what's needed. If you are in a toxic situation, sometimes the best option is to move away as quickly as possible. Sometimes the grass really is greener somewhere else. Other times, though, do you know the saying, wherever you go, there you are? In those times, we're bringing our trauma with us wherever we go. And that's the pattern we find ourselves stuck in. Then trauma-informed embodied practices can make all the difference. Let me give you another simple embodied practice that can help. Take a deep breath and let it go. Then, gently and slowly, rock your upper body forward and backwards a few times. Then, taking care not to knock into your neighbor, try gently and slowly rocking your upper body from side to side. When you are done, stop and notice what your body is experiencing. Even this little bit of slow, gentle rocking movement can shift what is happening within. These embodied practices can be like picking up a remote control for your body and for your nervous system, one that empowers you to change your internal channel to a station that is softer, gentler, and more fully present than the frequency you were previously tuned into. Menachem writes, "Few skills are more essential than the ability to settle your body." And if you're interested in trying this out for yourself, there are many different embodiment practices for working towards somatic abolitionism throughout both of Menachem's books. I also appreciate his reminders that settling your body includes giving ourselves permission to prioritize the basics of self-care. See if any of the following suggestions resonate with you in this particular season of your life. What do you need more of? Menachem writes that if we want to show up as our best selves, most of us need to sleep 7 to 8 hours a night, eat healthy, exercise at least 30 minutes a day, meditate regularly or do a similar spiritual practice of your choice, embrace simple pleasures, whatever you enjoy, spending time in nature, doing yoga, playing a musical instrument, creating art, gardening, spending time with friends, etc. All such practices can help us calm our bodies and regulate our nervous systems to do the hard work of living. There's one other insight I should mention. I love that Menachem includes on his list that if your body is feeling really amped up and trapped in a social situation, you can always say, "I need to use the bathroom, I'll be right back." That is indeed one of the most reliable ways to give yourself a few moments of peace and quiet to calm down your heart, mind, and body. Now, speaking of Stephanie, that doesn't work if you have small children, because they'll follow you. With all this being said, I would be remiss if I did not end with a reminder of what all this embodied self-care is for. The point is not only to care for ourselves and our bodies, but to increase our capacity and resilience for the work of co-creating a world in which all bodies feel supported and are resourced with what they need to live a dignified life. And if you do read Menachem's book, be forewarned that, as with many good therapists, he is not afraid to speak the truth directly when it will serve the process of healing. I'll give you just a taste, especially for those of us in white bodies. Menachem writes, "Honestly, I don't care if your sister-in-law is black, if you used to cut Martin Luther King Jr.'s hair, if you adopted 9 black babies, if you gave $50,000 to the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund last year, or if you're a sax-playing ex-president. I do not keep a scorecard on you and your life. As an adult, neither should you. What I do care about is what you do with your life now. Are you treating all humans with genuine regard? Are you calling out evil and immorality when you encourage it? Are you serving your fellow human beings? Are you acting out the best parts of yourself? Are you working with other people to dismantle all forms of white body supremacy?" Amen. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 1017 in the Teal hymnal, "Building a New Way."
A new way. We are
Please be seated. As we extinguish the chalice, please join me in reading the words that are spoken throughout Unitarian congregations across the country. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And as we send you on your way, may you know the love of family, friends, and this community. May you know the joy of creation and the power of justice. Return again in love and peace.